Whew, let's do this. Let's do it. I'm going down to the 10 note away minor 7, remembering that it's a minor 7, so you would expect it to be a minor 7 in a minor mode as the Phrygian is. It would be the same interval for the related minor scale. A minor scale has a minor 7, which is the Aeolian scale. So does the Phrygian. A minor mode also has a minor 7, which is what we would expect. The major scale would have an 11 note away major 7. So we have a flat 7. It is a 7 here, therefore it could be in our chord construction without renaming it because we skip every other note. 1, 3, 5, 7. However, the 7, of course, is not in the 1, 3, 5, the normal triad. So we're adding that 7, and we have to be careful because the 7 will not follow the same conventions, particularly having all of the majors and the minor modes having the same 7. All the minors, by the way, have the same minor 7, so there is no major 7 in a minor mode. In other words, whether we're playing the Phrygian, the Aeolian, or the Dorian, they all have a minor 7. But on the major side, they're not all major 7s, right? The Ionian or major scale has a major 7, but the mix, and so does the Lydian, but the Mixolydian has the flat 7. That's why when we learn the triad chord constructions, the 1, 3, 5, it doesn't help us. Those same rules don't apply, meaning a nice delineated line on intervals between major chords and minor chords doesn't apply necessarily to all of the other modes, right? So in any case. Also, when we look at this one, this is the one that you kind of want to identify, especially if you're going in a bluesy thing from a major scale to a minor, because then you can kind of fudge that 7. And also note that the 7, even if you're in a minor scale, has that nice leading tone if you add the major 7. So in other words, let's look at it here. So if I go forward, it would be 10 notes forward. I'm not going to go forward. I'm going to imagine the string in a circle and say, well, if I went 10 notes around one way and it's in a circle, then I would say 12 minus 10 would be 2 notes back going the other way around the circle. That would be back to this D. So if I was on this E and go 2 notes back, I'd be on this D. So if I went from D to E, that would be a 2 note away, which would be a major 2nd. But if I went from the E to the D, that would be a 10 note away minor 7. So what I want to point out with this, where would the major 7 be? It would be, let's do it this way. Right there's the major 7. So the major 7 is the leading tone going back home you see in a major scale. The minor scale doesn't have that leading tone going home, but you can always throw it in there, particularly if you're going home, right? So if the E is my home, my tonic, my root, then I can always walk up, and even if I'm in a minor mode, I can always kind of I can use the major 7 to lead in to go home. So that's, and you can always use like a half step and kind of work it in anywhere you're going. Like a half step is like kind of legal for the most part, but in particular, it's going to be legal if the half step is leading to a particular note that you're trying to emphasize. And that is especially true, of course, if that note is the tonic, right? So that means that if you're in a minor scale, you don't have that leading tone, but you might, if you're going home, you can kind of always do the half step as you go home, because you get the half step is legal number 1, and because it's the half step before the home, which makes it even more legal in my mind to do. So it'll sound okay. Okay, you get what I'm saying. So if I go up here, let's go above it. So now we're going above it, so we have to look for the inverse distance. So it's a 10 note away minor 7. 12 minus 10, therefore, is 2. So I'm looking for a distance of 2. So I have to go diagonal because we're crossing the fault line. So this is going to be 5 going this way, negative 5, I'll call it 4, 3, 2. That's a flat 7, so the major 7 would be right here. I'll just kind of emphasize that so you can kind of see it. And you can always see it because it's going to go back to the tonic, right? So if that's the minor 7, the major 7, and then home, tonic. So So let's go this way. We're going to say this is going to be -5, -4, 3, 2 here. So that'd be D. So if I went from the D to the E, that would be a 2-note away, which would be a major second. If I went from the E to the D, that therefore would be a 10-note away minor 7. 10-note away minor 7. So if I go up one string and cross the fault line, the 10-note away minor 7 will be 2 frets forward. But that's the only time I would go up one string and cross the fault line. If I was down here, I wouldn't cross the fault line. And if I was up above, I wouldn't cross the fault line. It would be, that's not wrong note. So the rule is, if I go up one string, the 10-note away minor 7 will be 3 frets forward unless I cross the fault line, which only happens on the B string, in which case if I go up one string and cross the fault line, the 10-note away minor 7 will be 2 frets forward because the tectonic plate shifted what we're thinking of as the root inwards or forwards. All right, let's go up 2 strings. 2 strings up. We'll go here. All right, so that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets back. So if I go up 2 strings and cross the fault line, I look for the inverse distance. So 10-note away minor 7 has an inverse of 12 minus 10 or 2. Diagonal to go 5, -5, -10, -10, -11, -12. That gets me to the octave. I can say 12 or 0, -1, -2. All right, so let's do it here. So I'm going to say -5, -10, -10, 10, 11, 12, or 0, and then 1 and 2. So if I go all the way back to that open D, if I went from top to bottom, it would be a 2-note away major second, and therefore bottom to top will be a 10-note away minor 7. So if I go up 2 strings and cross the fault line, the 10-note away minor 7 will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets back. I wouldn't cross the fault line if I started on the G or the D string, and I could still go up 2 strings. So if I was on like this E, for example, and I went up 2 strings, it would be a little bit easier of a reach. So the general rule, if I go up 2 strings, the 10-note away minor 7 will be 1, 2, 3, 4 frets back unless I cross the fault line, which would happen on the bottom 2 strings, the B and the bottom E string, in which case if I go up 2 strings and cross the fault line, the 10-note away minor 7 will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets back, 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 baby. Okay. Let's say I'm on the same string. So we're going to go up above it. So we have the 10-note away minor 7 has an inverse distance of 2 notes away that we're looking for. Crossing the fault line, going diagonal this way, -5, -10, -15. There's only 12 notes in the musical alphabet. Therefore, 15 minus 12 is 3, and then 2. Okay. So we're going to say this is going to be from here, 5, 10, 15, -15 minus 12 is -3 and 2. So if I went from top to bottom, D to E, that would be a 2-note away, which would be a major second. Therefore, from bottom to top would be a 10-note away minor 7. Therefore, if I went up 3 strings and crossed the fault line, the 10-note away minor 7 would be on the same fret. But I wouldn't cross the fault line if I started on the G string. So if I was on the G string and I went up 3 strings, it would be up here. So the general rule is, if I go up 3 strings, the 10-note away minor 7 will be 1 fret forward unless I cross the fault line, which would happen on the bottom 2 strings, which are the only 2 out of 3 times I could go up 3 strings unless I go around the top of the guitar, in which case, if I go up 3 strings and cross the fault line, the 10-note away minor 7 will be on the same fret. Okay, let's go to the next one up. We're almost done, almost there, and then we have to stop. The good times will have to stop once we finish, because you can only have so many good times, and then you have to sleep. Then you need to eat stuff and sleep. Eating stuff and sleeping is good times too. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we're going to go up 4 strings, noting that if I go up 4 strings, I might as well go down 1 string and then match it to going up 4 strings because it'll be the same note. So if I go to the string below it, I look for a 10 note away minor 7. I don't need to look for the inverse distance. I look for 10 notes away. Right below it will be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's the D here. The D matches up top. But let's count it up top, in which case I have to take the inverse distance, 12 minus 10, which is 2. Going diagonal, 5, negative 10, negative 15. 15 minus 12 is negative 3. 3 plus another 5 is 8. So negative 8, negative 7, negative 6, negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2. Let's count it out over here. So we're going to say negative 5, negative 10, negative 15. 15 minus 12 is negative 3, plus another 8 is, plus another 5 is 8. And then negative 8, negative 7, negative 6, negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2. So from this D to that E, top to bottom would be a 2 note away major second. Bottom to top, therefore, would be a 10 note away minor 7. Therefore, if I go up 4 strings, which means by default I will cross the fault line because I can't go up 4 strings without crossing the fault line. Therefore, the distance will always be of a 10 note away minor 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets forward. Okay, let's go to the one below it. So we're going to go to the one below it, which we already saw briefly. So if I go below the string, looking for a 10 note away minor 7, I don't need to look for an inverse distance. It's just distance of 10. So we're going to say 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's going to be from here, boom, down, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's possibly the most common way to play it. It's a bit of a reach, but doable, even with normal hands. If you stretch your fingers out, if you work on stretching your fingers, then, so that means that if I go down 1 string, the 10 note away minor 7 will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets forward, unless I cross the fault line, which would only happen on the G string, in which case if I was on like this E, which is on the G string, and I go down 1 string, it would be out here. So that would be a bit of a reach right there. So the rule is if I go down, is that right? I'm going from this E, this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 1, 2, 3, yeah. So if I go down 1 string, then the 10 note away minor 7 will usually be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets forward, unless I cross the fault line, which would only happen on the G string, in which case if I go down 1 string and cross the fault line, the 10 note away minor 7 will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frets forward, which is just out of reach, which also means that if I went the other way, it would be 6 frets back. That's that equilateral triangle, because there's only 12, so 6 frets is the maximum distance you'd have to go if you had the capacity to either go forward or backwards on the guitar without running out of room, hitting the nut, or hitting the gap here or whatever, so you can't go there any further. So that's going to be it. Whew. Let's stop it there.